And now, before we delve into the chilling tale of the Valley of the Wolves, a brief word from our benefactor.
Welcome, mortal. You've stumbled upon a corner of the internet you may never escape. But don't be afraid. Yet. Here's the deal. You hit like, smash subscribe, and I promise, no contracts, no eternal damnation today. Sounds fair, doesn't it? But if you leave before the end, well, let's just say, I'll know. And I've been told my follow-up visits are rather unforgettable. Stick around because what comes next will blow your mind, or claim your soul. Either way, it's going to be hellishly entertaining.
Chapter 1. The Valley of the Wolves. Deep in the heart of the Valley of the Wolves, where the trees stand like sentinels and the wind carries the whispers of ancient secrets, 5 hikers prepared to spend the night. The legends spoke of curses, of wolves not quite of this world. But legends, they thought, are just stories. The first sign came with the howling, distant at first, almost beautiful in its mournful tone. The group froze, exchanging uneasy glances. The forest seemed alive, watching, waiting. Sarah clutched her backpack strap tighter, her voice trembling.
Did anyone hear that?
Relax, it's just wolves. They're miles away.
But not all of them were convinced. As the group continued deeper into the woods, the howls seemed to follow them, weaving through the trees like a predator stalking its prey. Chapter 2. The campfire. Night fell, and the fire crackled in the center of the clearing. Shadows danced against the trees, twisting and flickering like specters. The group huddled close to the light, their earlier confidence slowly unraveling.
Those howls. They're closer now, aren't they?
They're just wolves. Nothing to worry about.
The words rang hollow. Even Ryan didn't believe them. And then it came. A sound unlike any they had heard before. A growl, low and menacing, from somewhere just beyond the firelight. Chapter 3. The First Encounter. Ryan stood, flashlight in hand, and took a hesitant step toward the sound. The beam of light cut through the mist, but the forest swallowed its reach.
Hello? Who's out there?
Silence answered him, and then something rushed past, so fast it seemed unreal. Ryan stumbled back, his face pale. The growl came again, this time from the opposite direction. The group was surrounded. Chapter 4. The chase begins. Panic set in. The group huddled together, their breaths coming in short, ragged gasps. The firelight seemed weaker now, as if the forest itself was consuming it.
We have to get out of here, now.
They grabbed their packs and stumbled toward the nearest path, but the howls followed, growing louder and more aggressive. The sound of branches snapping and leaves rustling seemed to come from all directions.
They're everywhere. We're surrounded.
And then, the first wolf appeared, its eyes glowing amber, its fur black as midnight. It stepped onto the path ahead, blocking their escape. Another emerged from the shadows to their right, then another to their left. Desperation took over. Sarah grabbed a stick from the ground, brandishing it like a weapon. But the wolves didn't flinch. They circled slowly, their movements deliberate, as if herding the group towards something. Chapter 5. The Outsider's Secret. As the wolves closed in, the outsider, a man who had mostly stayed silent throughout the journey, stepped forward. His face was pale, and his hands trembled as he held up a small carved totem. The object glinted faintly in the firelight, its surface covered in strange, ancient symbols.
Stay back, I know what you are.
The wolves hesitated, their glowing eyes narrowing as they focused on the totem. The outsider turned to the group, his voice shaking.
I've seen them before. They're not just wolves, they're guardians, spirits of the forest, and they don't forgive trespassers.
The group stared in disbelief, their fear giving way to anger. Mike stepped forward, his voice rising.
You knew about this? You brought us here, knowing we wouldn't get out?
The outsider didn't answer. His silence was all the confirmation they needed. But there was no time for accusations. The wolves began to advance again, their patience wearing thin. Chapter 6. The Offering. The outsider's trembling hand lowered the totem. He stepped back, his face ashen. There's only one way, he muttered, to appease them.
What are you saying? What do you mean?
But he didn't answer her. Instead, he pulled a small knife from his pack, slicing a deep cut into his palm. Blood dripped onto the totem, and the wolves froze in place.
Take me. Let them go.
Their glowing eyes shifted to him, and the largest wolf stepped forward, towering over the outsider. He dropped to his knees. The wolves closed in, and the group could only watch as the outsider disappeared into their midst. The growls subsided, and silence returned. Then, one by one, the wolves melted back into the shadows, leaving the group standing alone in the clearing. Chapter 7. The Escape. The remaining hikers stumbled through the forest, their breath shallow, their nerves shattered. The howls no longer followed them, and for the first time, the forest felt still.
We're free.
But Sarah didn't answer. She turned back once, her eyes searching the darkness. In the distance, she swore she saw a figure, a man standing among the wolves, his eyes now glowing amber. And then the forest swallowed him whole. The Valley of the Wolves had claimed its due.